Let's speak with the Group Chief Executive Officer of Xylus Group, Mr. Oluwatosin Olatujoye. Mr. Olatujoye, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, madam.
So we were just talking before the camera came on us how we had this conversation last year.
Yeah.
But obviously, inflation is different last year to this year. But I don't know if it's better or worse.
So I think as of now, inflation is stable. At least looking at my analysis since December to date, I can see a trend of a stable inflation rate.
The Middle East war hasn't disturbed the sector?
Seriously, it has really disturbed the sector because and every day we see, at least this year alone, we've seen a couple of price increase in materials from different manufacturers, and automatically that brings about an issue when it comes to real estate in Nigeria.
So when we look at the change in price when it comes to real estate, either rental or construction costs, do we say that perhaps Nigerians inflict the pain on themselves? Because when you see the trend, you wonder if it's really artificial or if it's really following the course of inflation.
Okay, so if you see the dollar rate in terms of FX and impact on building materials and also construction generally, you realize that so far so good. Even FX rate has been very stable. But the fact still remains that the price of materials still goes up on like almost 3 times within this year alone. So
what's driving that?
So what I've seen that have been a major factor when it comes to material increase in building materials is that when it comes to the diesel is also a major factor in terms of price increase in materials, because transportation is a major part of moving materials from a location to another location. So whenever we see an increase in diesel materials, we realize that there's going to be an automatic increase in building materials. So diesel increase in price automatically have an effect on the materials of buildings.
And it's almost immediately.
It's almost immediately. Because
but if there's a reduction, then we don't see it.
So far so good. For almost 1 year, I don't think there have ever been a reduction in terms of diesel price. And you
did we have a bit of that last year? We saw a bit of reduction.
Yes.
Last year, before the Middle East war.
If you look at iron price, sometimes last year iron price were around 1.1 million per tons. It drops to about 1,020,000. So it means that the drop of diesel price also have an effect on iron price. So, and it's not just iron alone, it also happens in cement, because iron and cement form a major part of construction projects. So, and I've seen that the major factor is logistics, transportation of the movement of materials from one location to another. And once the material increase come up in terms of cement, iron and all that, you can easily trace it back to transportation, because the suppliers will tell you that the reason why their price is going up is the movement of the materials.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, so does it mean that even, because I know we have cement, we have Dangote cement and I believe Boa.
Yeah, Boa.
In Nigeria. And Lafarge, I beg your pardon, Lafarge actually. So we have at least those two giants in Nigeria. That means cement is being produced in Nigeria. But are we enjoying any incentive from that? Because then we should say, okay, can we do the iron and the other construction materials from Nigeria? Can we source for it from Nigeria? Will that help us in any way?
All right, so majorly I've seen that even Dangote cement alone from January to date, because I buy materials in bulk, I've realized that there have been 3 different prices this year alone. January it was a different price, which is around probably 10,000, 9,800 thereabout. But February, March, and April alone now, we're having about 11,000 plus to buy a bag of cement. So it's very alarming, and despite the fact that all these materials are being produced locally, we still have some elements of the materials that are being imported, and the means to transport also is also very critical. So it's just a thing to be worried about.
And do you think there's nothing we can do about it?
Yes, so there could be a relief from the manufacturers by giving some level of incentive to developers, because mainly we talk about housing deficit in the country. If we are really going to work together to reduce the housing deficit in the country, it means that both the government, the private developers, and also the manufacturers of building materials has to come together to achieve that mandate.
But when you say incentives from the manufacturer, what kind of incentive? How would that look like?
All right, so at least to some extent, if there are some bulk purchase, maybe a group of people coming together to buy materials in bulk and all that, so there should be a level of incentive by bringing down the price for bulk purchase. And with that, it will encourage a lot of developers to start thinking towards buying in bulk, so that they can be able to save some certain amount of money.
Or do we look for other materials for our construction? Do we go back to mud? I know there was a time people were thinking of using these containers, and all of that. Those things, are they not advisable? Or is it a matter of, I don't want to be the one left out of building my house in brick?
All right, so I think I've seen some container structure, as you mentioned. But the fact is that when it comes to using container to build, you realize that it's still formed around iron. So you have to construct the container, even if you're not going to import it. So, and it still fall down to, price in increase of iron that will also affect the container and the use of container to build a house for someone. But the beauty about container construction is that it's something you can move from one location to another. So if I have my land in this location and I build with container, I can decide to move that container to another land that I just purchased and reconstruct there, then I sell the land. So I don't need to start building another house there. So at least to some extent.
Would you live in a container house?
So I've seen some, and it is well built. In terms of cladding of the container is also very important, then the POP and all that, and you realize that you'll be able to live there,
But you have not answered the question yourself.
Yes, if it's well built, why not? Because it's going to be properly cladded and there won't be a form of any heat. Yeah.
All right, but this housing supply is still very far away from us.
Very far.
Unfortunately, and we still have to deal with the high cost of construction
yeah.
materials.
Yeah.
Even when we try to, produce here in Nigeria, we're still faced with the raw materials coming from abroad. And that's putting a lot of demand. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I guess it's a conversation we still have to visit another time.
Yeah.
This is Oluwatosin Olatujoye, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Xylox Group.
Thank you.